Hey, welcome to the channel. Let's talk about my latest creation. So this right here is a VeVe Exclusive Variant tier list, alright? So I came up with this because I wanted to treat it more like artwork, because that's what it is. It's comic art, and if it's to be treated like that, we should treat it just like we treat them in the physical world, where there are variants out there, and some of those variants are worth way more than the actual comic issue itself. So an example would be a comic issue #1 of a certain comic, say it's worth $200. You go and buy the variant from a popular artist, that comic might be worth $600 or $800, maybe even more, just depending on who the artist is. So I feel like we should treat these variants kind of similar to that. I mean, this is art. This is done by a modern artist, and some of these artists are very popular, and we're only going to see more of these. So there's probably going to be some even bigger artists out there that might do some variants. So I think we should start focusing on that, finding out who these artists are, because I don't know every single one of these artists, all right? Some of them have done a little bit of work, and then some of the artists I do know, and they've done a lot of work, right? So we'll start with how the point system works. So I came up with first the tier list placement. So, you know, my original tier list that I do for all the comics, starting from the bottom. So like E tier would be 1 point all the way up to the Diamond Club, which would be 6 points, right? So that's kind of what that tier placement points means, right? Then what will, I guess, take some of these guys out of those tier brackets is all the other points. So now we get to, is it a low mint comic? So the ones that are low mint comics for the variants right now are, it's the Thor, and then the Uncanny X-Men over here, the 308 one. Those two, because one's a secret rare, so it's at 600 for mints. And then the ultra rare, that one's actually at 500. So that one's actually technically the lowest mint one, if you didn't know. The next point, next part for points is popular artists. So this is the only part on the tier list that might be a little opinionated. I tried not to be, though. I pretty much what I based off of popular artists was if I could do a Google of the artist and find a bunch of articles about them, then I considered them popular. Now, if I did a Google about them and the only thing I found is like a Wikipedia or maybe just the basic Marvel website, haven't seen a whole lot of interviews with them, then I kind of considered them not popular, all right? Now, if you feel maybe some of these artists really are popular and maybe the Google just did a very terrible job of letting me know that they're popular, then feel free to let me know and I'll research them some more. This was, I only spent about maybe 2 days with this. It didn't take me all day, you know, for each one of those days. It was just here and there whenever I found some time. So don't be too harsh on me if you find that only those few that I came up with as far as popular artists, and you think there's maybe maybe 1 or 2 of these are popular. Because I'll give you an example. Like I know the Will Sliney guy, I would say technically he's popular, but he hasn't done enough where I don't think I would count him as popular yet. So I mean, so yeah, some of these artists I do know, and I just didn't necessarily maybe count them as popular yet, because I don't know, I feel like they haven't done enough yet to get to that league of popularity. All right, so that's the only part that's opinionated. The rest of the stuff is like covers. So when you look at these comics, I have covers, subjects, and pencils. We'll go over each one of those. So covers, that's how many covers they've been a part of, right? So if we'll talk about Mark Bagley, 598 covers. That's only for the covers that are for those comics, not like variant covers. So if he came up with just say 200 variants out there for his career, then the number that you see, that 598, is not including them. All right. So just make sure you understand that. The subjects. So the subjects is like coming up with a new character or maybe like a device or something related that's brand new. So it could be a Peter Parker, but it's from a different world. So it's, say, his new world that he came up with. This is his version of Peter Parker. So that's a subject. So, you know, same thing with any other character like Miles Morales or something. There's another subject that they came up with. So the subjects is just pretty much saying, how many characters they've came up with, and to me, I feel like that's a pretty decent weight. Like they're creating these characters. That's neat. The penciling, to me, penciling is a pretty big deal. I was actually going to give it more than 1 point, but it didn't seem like it was going to work with how I have the point system right now. So I left it at 1 point, but just know that penciling to me is a big deal. So if they have over 100 penciling done, then I gave them a +1. And then for anything else was just like oddball stuff. So like the first ever VeVe exclusive variant for rarities like Fantastic Four 13 and X-Men 308. These two right there are both exclusive variants for like the first ever rare and ultra rare. So that's what Fantastic Four 13 is known for. And then the Uncanny X-Men 308 is known for the first uncommon and first secret rare VeVe exclusive variant. The other thing that I have for a point system is it a special edition? So the Daredevil #1 and Fantastic Four #13 came out during the New York Comic Con. So they're technically New York Comic Con editions. That's it right there for the point system. I did, have some notes on here to, it's pretty much saying this is just for fun. I'm probably going to come up with a better point system to make this better. And I want to also mention that, so they're in the S tier. To me, that tells me that those should be variants that, once again, not financial advice, but that I might actually go for, or somebody should go for, because those are the ones that, as you see, they have some popular artists, or they have an artist that's done a lot, or there's things like the Thor, which is a low mint, or the Fantastic Four 13 or Daredevil #1s, which were New York Comic Cons. So there's a bunch of good things going for these variants. So to me, I feel like that's the reason, I didn't want to make it where it was only points. So for instance, the Thor is a 9-pointer. So does that mean it's the first one you should go for? I'm kind of iffy on that. I will say, though, that it should be on your top list at least, because there's only 500 of those made. So eventually they're going to be harder and harder to get. And the last I checked, the price was actually fairly low on them. Like, I think the lowest I've seen, I think they were down to like $4.30 or something like that. That's fairly low for that comic. Especially if you know how many mints it has. That's actually, to me, like really low. That's low for a secret rare to me, period. So anyways, so yeah, any of these comics, I would definitely start with maybe the S tier and then work my way down. And you'll notice that some of the comics that are normally on the lower tier maybe got kind of high. For instance, like the Ron Lim's Avengers 80 comic. So that one's in the A tier. And then the Uncanny X-Men 308 sits in my E tier. But I put it as an A tier just because the fact that there's only 600 of them made and it's the first secret rare. So maybe that will have some weight. And then other ones too, like your Darkhawk. Darkhawk's a E tier, and you can see it there sitting in the B tier because Ron Lim also did that one. But yeah, just give me your thoughts on here. If you think of something else for like a weight system, let me know. I just kind of came up with this for fun, and I think it will help some of y'all out there as far as like, hey, what the heck's the difference between any of these variants? So this right here should open your eyes that maybe you should start with the artist that came up with it, because that is the big point of the variant. This is their artwork. It's really cool. And I will say that the second names, I did not mention this. So if the comic has 2 names on there, the bottom name is usually the colorist. Now I didn't include like their main penciling. So that's another thing I didn't cover either with you. So on this comic itself, so Mark Bagley over there, where it says Ultimate Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man, those are like 2 main pieces that he's worked on as far as penciling, not his covers, not his subjects, but his penciling, right? So that's what those are. So any of them in the middle, that's that artist's main penciling work. Now, I didn't include if the colorist, say the colorist had maybe some penciling done, which, did any of these colors had some penciling? I'm not even sure if I even added penciling for the colorist, to be honest, now that I think about it. I think I just did covers and subjects for the colorist. Now, if they had any penciling work, I did not add to it. So Either way, though, but the middle of the comic is for the main artist. If he did any penciling, what was his main stuff that he did? So for instance, like Will Sliney over there, The Rise of Kylo Ren, Spider-Man 2099, and Fearless Defenders. And then you have rest of them, like Ron Lim. Ron Lim's like a Silver Surfer stud. I put that on there. He's pretty much. He may not be technically the top 10 Silver Surfer artist right now, but he might eventually be, if that makes sense. Like he still does the Silver Surfer comics out there. So I decided to put a Silver Surfer stud on him since he's still doing them, and he's been doing them for a long time. And he's actually, if you look at a couple of the like top Silver Surfer comics, you will see like one or two of them that he's been a part of. So he, to me, is a rising star, I guess you would say. And you can also find enough information on him if you were to Google him. So that's the reason why he has a popular artist tagged on him as well. And then, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. I know I've rambled on for a lot. I was just kind of making sure I covered the whole point of this whole thing. And like I said earlier, let me know if you think there's anything else I should add to this as far as like point systems or some other information you want to know about these comics. Feel free to let me know. I'm always open for any type of suggestions. As always, thank you for watching.